everyone, welcome to Startup Street. I'm Ritu Singh and with me Ashruti Mishra and Arundhati Ramanan. Here are the top headlines from the startup space. After Axis Bank, Paytm is in talks with Yes Bank to open a nodal account for One97 Communications. The move is aimed at ensuring a seamless merchant settlement even beyond the 15th of March. Sources say Paytm will also apply to NPCI for a third-party application provider license with 4 to 5 banks.
Google pulls multiple apps from its Play Store without disclosing the names for violating its billing and payment policy. InfoEdge and Matrimony.com confirm receiving notices from Google. More than a dozen firms have taken Google to court over its billing policy. Supreme Court is still hearing the case, but it refused to pass interim orders protecting these apps from Play Store removal.
Healthcare unicorn Pristine Care lays off around 120 employees in a restructuring exercise. The layoffs come even as the firm plans to turn profitable in FY25 before going public in 2027. The startup told CNBC-TV18 it is discontinuing 3 redundant categories and the move is going to impact less than 7% of the 1,700 employees.
PropTech firm Bandhu raises 7.35 crore rupees in a pre-Series A funding round led by Venture Catalyst. The funds will be used for tech innovations and expansion.
And Elon Musk sues OpenAI and its co-CEO Sam Altman over its relationship with tech giant Microsoft. Musk alleges that OpenAI compromised its original mission to build AI systems for public welfare and transformed into a profit maximization entity under Microsoft. Okay, let's kick things off with Paytm, where CNBC-TV18 has learned that after Axis Bank, Paytm is in talks with Yes Bank to open a nodal account for One97 Communications to ensure that merchant settlements continue to happen even after the 15th of March deadline set by RBI. So far, Paytm has had its nodal account with its own bank, but after RBI imposed restrictions on it, Paytm had announced a partnership with Axis Bank to open an escrow account, and if talks fructify with Yes Bank, it'll be the second nodal account that Paytm will open. Now, we also understand that Paytm has applied for a third-party application provider status with the NPCI, where it has secured the consent of both Axis Bank and Yes Bank to come on board as a payment service provider or PSP for the UPI channel. Besides these two banks, we also understand that Paytm is in talks with State Bank of India and HDFC Bank as well.
All right, moving on to another top story. Google has pulled multiple apps from its Play Store without disclosing the names for violating its billing and payment policy. More than a dozen firms had taken Google to court over its billing policy. The Supreme Court is still hearing the case, but it refused to pass interim orders protecting these apps from Play Store removal. Aishwarya Anand gets us more.
Google has issued a warning to 10 Indian companies that it would remove their apps from Play Store if they do not adhere to the platform's billing policies. The tech giant has sent notices to companies like Matrimony.com and InfoEdge demanding that they pay the 30% service fee Google charges for app transactions on its Play Store platform. InfoEdge founder Sanjeev Bikhchandani confirmed receiving the notice to CNBC-TV18, saying that they have been compliant with Play Store policies since February 9th when the Supreme Court order came out, and all invoices have been paid on time. He also added that the company is in the process of replying to Google. In a statement to CNBC-TV18, Matrimony.com also said that its legal team is reviewing Google's notice and exploring next steps. To give you some context, on February 12th, a cluster of Indian startups wrote to Google requesting the search giant not to delist them till March 19th when their special leave petition comes up for hearing. The company said that any precipitative step taken by Google would be extremely detrimental to all the participants of the ecosystem comprising of startups and app developers. They went on to say that previously too, Google had voluntarily extended its enforcement of Google billing payment system and user choice billing multiple times. Now, this letter comes after Supreme Court on February 9th agreed to hear pleas by several startups against Google's billing policies, but refused to pass an interim order protecting these startups from removal from the Play Store. Now, while Google has not revealed the name of these 10 companies, it said in a blog post that these developers had more than 3 years to prepare and comply with the payment policies. The search giant further revealed that it currently has over 200,000 Indian developers on Google Play who adhere to its policies. However, non-compliance of these 10 companies is creating an uneven playing field, putting other developers at a competitive disadvantage. This, the blog post had added.
Right, Aishwarya, thank you so much for those details on what's brewing today. Zeno Health, which runs a chain of generic medicine-focused pharmacies, has raised $25 million from investors led by Korean private equity firm Stick Investments. Existing investor Lightbox Ventures has a significant participant in the Series C funding round. Zeno Health, earlier known as Generico, was founded in 2017 and expects the latest fund infusion to help it expand its consumer base and footprint, as well as enhance its technological infrastructure. Joining us on the show today to discuss the firm's growth plans are Siddharth Gadia, the co-founder Zeno Health, Girish Agarwal as well, and also with me, my colleague Ritu. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Girish, let me come to you first. You primarily sell generic medicines through your own brand and also offer franchisees of a pharmacy network under your brand as well, right? So you claim to help people save up to about 80% on their medications. So talk to us about what's on offer and the traction you've seen so far.
So far over the last, it's been almost 7 years, we've been into the business and it has been more than encouraging for us with the value prop that we started and the vision of democratizing healthcare. We have served over 2.5 million users in Mumbai and Pune alone, saving them over 600 crores on their prescriptions in just these two cities over the last 7 years. That's a brief indicator of the traction that we have seen over the last few years. And this is just the surface that we have scratched, and there is so much more to do as we go along, as we expand pan-India. Yeah.
Okay, so Girish, hi, this is Ritu. What are those plans to expand pan-India that you referred to? Because give us a sense of how you're going to deploy this $25 million you've raised.
Yeah, so Ritu, we have built an omni-channel retail model so far, present and deeply penetrated in Mumbai and Pune as geographies. As we move along over the next 3 years, we plan to expand this omni-channel retail footprint by 4 times, primarily in the western and eastern region of the country. We plan to add another model, which is a community-led distribution model, which allows us to enter Bharat. We have already started operations with our community-led distribution model of generics in tier 3 to tier 6 geographies, starting with West Bengal as our first geography, which allows us to penetrate beyond the urban geographies that we are already present in. So over the next 3 years, we plan to move from 300 community partners that we have today to around 2,000 partners.
Absolutely, Girish. Let me bring Siddharth into the conversation because we're running out of time. But Siddharth, if you could tell us, Girish gave us an idea of the kind of presence you have. But where will the next leg of growth come from for you? Will it be your online or your offline presence? How many more stores are you looking at opening this financial year?
So with this investment, we are looking forward to multiply ourselves in the omnichannel store space. From the current 150 stores, we want to extend ourselves to nearly 500 stores. As Girish said, that we are expanding. Another thing is the community model, which we have started. We are currently at nearly 200 such community partners. We will scale those to nearly 2,000 community partners in next 3 to 4 years, is where the investment will go in. On the third side is on the tech platform, the e-com platform we will invest, as well as on the brand building. We will have an investment for the coming 2 to 3 years with this investment.
Siddharth, just a few seconds left. Quickly, what's the revenue you're clocking and what's the target for the next couple of years, even on the profitability front?
Yeah, on the profitability front, we are looking to, we measure profitability in different channels. On our omni-channel retail channel, we will become profitable in next 3 to 6 months. On the overall company level, we are targeting profitability by calendar year 25 is where we are looking profitability. In terms of revenue, We are currently nearly 250 crore company and now targeting nearly 1,000 crore revenue in the next 3 years.
All right, profitability by FY25. All right, Siddharth, Girish, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We're completely out of time, but we wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you very much. Thanks, bye.
All right, moving on. Also on What's Brewing, Intercity mobility platform Intercity that offers both train and bus services has added 37 crore rupees to its Series C round. This recent investment has been led by Mirabilis Investment Trust with participation from existing investors Nandan Nilekani's Family Trust, Omidyar Network India and US-based Ujama Ventures. This investment comes in line with the company turning EBITDA profitable. And to talk to us about the road ahead, joining me now is Intercity's co-founder Kapil Raizada. Kapil, welcome to Startup Street. You plan to use the funds to enhance product offerings, accelerate user acquisition and for expansion. If you could quickly elaborate on these plans and what are the new offerings in the pipeline, how do you plan to cater to the growing traveler base?
Well, thanks for having me here. I think there's a slight difference. We already turned profitable this year. And next year, we are looking to generate a significant amount of free cash flows. If I remember my numbers right, we should be between 450 crores thereabout in revenues and ballpark average say 25 crores in profit. So a lot of this money is not directly going to go into anything building new because I expect the business to generate significant surpluses, which will be there to redeploy. Well, a part of the money that we raised has gone into and will continue to go into development, but I'm expecting a large part of it to actually go and strengthen our company reserve and surpluses, which we think is also necessary, given that, the way the product has kind of already achieved a product market fit. And we are also looking at building our IPO plans around the corner. So that's how we are seeing this particular round.
Your presence in both bus and train travel markets gives you the ability to reach long-distance travelers in India. If you could take us through the current business growth numbers and the partnerships you've built so far.
Yeah, so if you look at the last 2 years, we would have grown about 3x. If you look at us 3 years, I think we would have grown about 600%. As I said, our focus now, I think we've proven that our model scales across the country. We are now in around 15 states. And the focus now is less on proving the product market fit, but it's more to build a strong, healthy, and a profitable company. And this particular round that is there is kind of part of our journey towards doing that.
Your flagship brand, that is Intercity Smart Bus, currently has 30 plus bus operators and covers travel to more than 650 plus tier 2 and tier 3 routes. How do you plan to keep the momentum going? Where do you see the next leg of growth coming from, Kapil?
Well, that's a great question. So, see, I'm expecting about 80% of our growth to continue to come from the routes where we are already present. So it's going to be 80-20, 80% growth. We will continue to add more services, give more options to travelers on the routes where we already have an existing service base. We are seeing exceptionally strong traction in routes where we are present. And if you look at the last 1 year story, we've actually grown by increasing our market share in the same geos. The strategy had worked very well for us. And for the next, I think, 12 to 18 months, that will continue to drive our growth where we really don't need to do any new expansion and not go into new routes. While that will happen, it will happen more on a tactical basis, but primary revenue growth will continue to come in all the markets where we are already present and seeing a lot of consumer love, so to say.
All right. Speaking of consumer love, if you can talk to us about your current offerings, and like you mentioned, you're working on giving them more customized offerings. What are the new offerings in the pipeline as well?
So, see, long-distance travel is reasonably well understood. There are broadly 5 promises that we want to give to everyone. Like punctual operations, clean assets, so the vehicles have to be clean and hygienically maintained, courteous staff, safe boarding, and toilets inside the buses. The last 2 have been particularly absent from this industry, and we've been the first ones to focus on these. As we are growing, it is very important that we are able to deliver this promise every time without fail. And a lot of tech and processes go towards ensuring that these 5 promises are met each time to every traveler. Right? we're building some new innovations which are actually around simplifying the boarding and the way the people reach to their buses. So there are new technologies and there are new service that we are adding on top of it. Because one of the challenges that I'm seeing is that despite a lot of focus saying that public transport is better than private transport, in practice I don't see much of it happening on the ground.
All right.
Right? Even like the administrations and then the way the different traffic rules work, they're making it harder for buses to move inside the city.
Sure.
I'm seeing more of private cars being promoted inside the travel. So there are some implications we are seeing that happening over the year, and we're kind of building towards that to ensure that the first mile and the last mile also get simplified, while the main travel is something we've already figured out to a large extent.
All right, Kapil. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but many thanks for joining us on Startup Street and wish you the very best for all the growth plans.
Thank you, ma'am. Pleasure talking to you. Bye-bye.
Okay, on that note, we're going to take a short break, but up next, venture capital firm Avana Capital, in partnership with Startup India, held a grand challenge for climate tech innovation. We'll tell you the key trends from that right after this short break.
Welcome back. You're still with us on Startup Street. Venture capital firm Avana Capital, in partnership with Startup India, recently held a grand challenge for climate tech innovation. This to highlight the potential of India's startups in driving climate action. In a chat with Akhil Vishwanath, Avana Capital's founding partner Anjali Bansal decodes emerging themes within climate tech and what more needs to be done to boost the startup participation in paving low-carbon pathways for the country's green transition. Take a look.
We were very energized to see the quality of founders, and that really, as you know, was the purpose behind putting together the Grand Challenge to create this platform. We saw 400 plus applications coming from all across India. 60% and more than 60% were from outside the metro hubs that are startup hubs, Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad. More than 30% were female. We had a number of startup applications from remote areas in the Northeast, in J&K. So really good to see all of Bharat coming together to solve for the climate problem for Bharat. And in some ways, in India, we have mastered frugal technology, dare I say, or at least we are on our way to mastering frugal technology.
Not just frugal technologies, but breakthrough technologies as well. And when we look at the three winners, we have Greenpod Labs, Ambient and Nexus Power. They're building sustainable materials, transforming waste to power advanced batteries, and also making our supply chains more energy efficient. You receive 400 applications here. And at Avana Capital, you receive about 200 pitches and you assess them every single quarter from climate tech startups. Can you take us through some of the emerging areas within climate tech besides mobility and large renewable projects, because they usually tend to dominate conversations and funding as well?
So some very exciting breakthrough emerging areas, as you mentioned earlier as well, and reflected in the winners, and honestly also reflected in our portfolio. So you see new energy chemistries like Nexus Power that are using agri-waste to convert to energy in a much more efficient way. There is enough energy density to actually run a vehicle, for example. Or you take green pods, that is extending shelf life for fruit, reducing food wastage, and cooling. Amphitheater cooling is already a significant issue in India and will be an increasingly difficult problem to solve, both for urban and non-urban housing, as well as in workplaces. So cooling technologies that are efficient, that are breakthrough, that are frugal, much required. So we are starting to see a lot of interesting flow in addition to our current portfolio with Iki, Aram, Kazam, and Centra in energy efficiency, in industrial decarbonization.
One of the key themes that I also wanted to talk about was decarbonization of industrial manufacturing in the country. India is, of course, positioning itself as a global manufacturing hub. And in the largest startup ecosystem as well, we see India to the world theme gaining a lot of steam. But it's a great opportunity for climate tech startups to be able to capture it, because 50% of the carbon emissions in the country come from industries, and it's a great opportunity. But what are some of the key challenges that they could face in scaling such solutions, especially Centra World, one of your portfolio startups that is working towards decarbonizing industrial manufacturing?
Great question. Centra, I think, is building that breakthrough platform for hard-to-abate industries. So steel, cement, rubber, that will help them to both measure and mitigate Scope 1, Scope 2, and Scope 3 emissions. The question you asked about how will industrial India decarbonize and what is the connectivity, I think that there are 2 or 3 challenges here. One is providing financing for breakthrough startups, that are creating new technologies for adoption. So they need funding, they need equity, debt, working capital, sometimes they need deep risk funding, patient capital to actually see the playbook through, but also connectivity to industry. So we need industry to start doing more sandboxing, more pilots, providing those POCs.
Avana has announced the launch of the new fund for climate and sustainability last year. You announced the first close at $70 million, targeting a corpus of about $100 to $125 million. How many investments have you already made from the fund, and how many are you planning to make in 2024?
We launched the Avana Climate and Sustainability Fund. We are India's first and largest thematically focused fund on climate. Climate is, of course, not a sector, it's a theme. It overlays from our investment strategy 90% of India's emission footprint across energy transition, supply chains, mobility, industrial decarbonization, and agriculture. So think energy security, food security, and supply chains. We are well on our way. We have received very good response from the institutional investor as well as some of the corporates. We are seeing excellent deal flow. We've, as you know, made about 5 investments. We continue to pace ourselves well.
With that, it's a wrap from Ritu, Arundhati and me, Shruti, on this edition of Startup Street. More news and updates coming up on the other side. Stay tuned.